What if you came up with a new recipe? What if you developed a prototype? What if you had an idea that was so brilliant it changed the world? It happens all the time. People who have creative thoughts and ideas constantly come up with new things. Some of those things actually make it to the marketplace. I am talking on one of those things, an iPhone. But we have to start somewhere. Today, I am going to share a couple ideas about the Midnight Kitchen. So the Midnight Kitchen is a place that you can experiment, develop a prototype, and trust me, you don't have to wait for 12 o'clock midnight in order to do this. You can do it anytime. Maybe it's a new recipe. Food is a good place to start. I'm constantly coming up with new ideas in the kitchen. When I get a really good one, I'll write it down. Most of the time, the ideas, they're okay. They taste all right. But it's when I come up with the really special ideas, that prototype of an idea, something slightly different than the typical, but also really yummy. Food is a great place for you to begin your creative journey. Fabric is another area. I am a fiber artist. I love to sew. I love to come up with new ideas. And I often will try something out, brand new and different. Maybe it's a new technique. This morning at 4:30 in the morning, I was busy in my workroom. The lights were turned on, nice and bright. It was cozy. It was raining outside. I could hear the rain on the roof and on the window, but inside I was warm and dry. And I was trying out a new technique to add a piping to a tablecloth and then to add a banding around the tablecloth. It's really interesting, especially in sewing projects, when you have an idea for something and you're not quite sure how to make it work. For me, very often, it's giving myself a deadline. When I sew for customers, the deadline is implied. A lot of times, I'll tell my customer, I'll have this finished for you on Tuesday. And when do I finally get around to doing the thing? Monday. That happened yesterday. And I found myself figuring something out in the last minute that I really didn't know how to do. Prototypes can be like that. Prototypes are a way for us to test out a design. Sometimes the design works, sometimes it doesn't. But prototypes are things that we do on a small scale. And then if it doesn't quite work, we haven't invested a lot of time and money. We can make changes and adaptations and put it out there again. What's another thing that you could do? Maybe it's in writing. Today, I had a breakfast meeting with a former student, Dave. He's taking a class right now in experimental writing. I asked him, what is that? He said it's about different arrangements of the text on the page. And I thought, that's kind of interesting. He explained that he's often interested in writing about history, but often frustrated with the typical text because it's kind of boring. But if you could do something a little bit different and make that text pop on the page, maybe it's using different fonts or colors, maybe it's using different arrangement of the text. Try it out. Give it an experiment. See what happens. After all, it's only letters, right? They don't cost much. What's another thing that we can try out? Visuals. So I realize when I'm doing this and writing on the whiteboard, I've seen a lot of YouTubers use a similar technique. And one thing they're not afraid of is erasing. And I feel like when I started here, I was kind of in the wrong place. Whoops, that one doesn't work. How often does that happen? I should have moved this up here. But you know what? This is my prototype. I'm trying it out. See what happens. And what doesn't, well, I'll learn for next time. That brings me to another point. I've long thought about using my iPad to share my thoughts and write on that instead of a whiteboard like this, because I think that I could convey my ideas better. My handwriting isn't necessarily the best, but my ideas, I think, are right on top of things. So visuals, what could we do with visuals? Well, many, many things. And right now, I'm thinking about the simple idea of a circle. I can make that face look happy, right? Or I can make it look sad. Or I can make it look angry. Or what else could I do with it? A tongue sticking out. I'm just having fun. I remember watching Bob Ross on TV with my mom. She loved watching him. She would often criticize him and say, "That's not how you do that." But she really did admire how he could put out a painting in about 22 minutes. Things that make people happy. And his simple methods, the wet on wet, helped people to understand your art doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be. So he would make pine trees and he would make mountains. And he would have a happy little stream coming through. And he might have more trees. But what if we turn that into a face? What if all of a sudden we add a nose here? And this isn't a river any longer. Maybe it's snots coming out of the nose. And maybe this is a mustache. And maybe this becomes cat ears. So have fun with your art. Do something experimental. The Midnight Kitchen is your chance to try things out. Do a prototype, test it out, see what happens. Remember, our first attempts are often just for ourselves. They can go in the bin or they can go up on the wall. It doesn't have to be perfect after all. I'm Dr. B, the Creativity Sensei. I hope to inspire you to do your art. Thanks for tuning in once again. A biento.